Imagine this moment, just for a second. You are sitting at your desk, it is late, the blue light from your laptop screen is the only thing illuminating the room. You are tired, you are frustrated, and you are angry. Specifically, you are angry at him. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's that friend who betrayed you last week. Your fingers are moving across the keyboard like little soldiers in a war you think you are winning. You are typing the email. You know the one. The email that sets the record straight. The email that lists every single mistake they made. The email that feels so good. Your heart is racing. Thump, thump, thump. That is adrenaline. That is your body preparing for a fight. You read it over. It is perfect. It is sharp. It hurts. And then you click send. Whoosh. Gone. For 3 seconds, you feel like a god. You feel powerful. Justice has been served. But then 5 minutes pass. You go to the kitchen to get water. You come back. You look at the sent folder. You read it again. And suddenly, that warm feeling in your chest turns into ice. A cold, heavy stone drops in your stomach. You realize you shouldn't have sent that. You realize you sounded petty. You realize you just burned a bridge you needed to walk on. You realize you weren't setting the record straight. You were just throwing a tantrum. Why do we do this? Why do we sabotage our own careers, our own relationships, our own happiness, all for 5 minutes of emotional release? Welcome to the jungle. This is not a metaphor. Inside your skull, there is a jungle. We like to think we are civilized. We like to think we are these rational, logical creatures who make decisions based on spreadsheets and facts. We walk around in suits, we drive cars, we use smartphones, we look modern. But Robert Greene, the man who spent a lifetime studying power and strategy, has a different message for you. He says that is all an illusion. The truth, you are ruled by your emotions. We all are. Think of your mind like a chariot. There are 2 horses pulling it. One horse is calm, steady, looks at the map, knows where to go. That is your rational self. But the other horse? The other horse is wild. It is screaming. It is terrified of snakes. It wants to stop and eat apples. It kicks. It bites. That is your emotional self. And here is the scary part. For most of us, for most of the day, the wild horse is the one steering the chariot. We are living in what Greene calls the prison of emotion. And if you don't understand how this prison works, if you don't find the key, you will spend your whole life banging your head against the bars, wondering why you keep making the same mistakes, wondering why you date the same toxic people, wondering why you never save that money, wondering why you reacted that way. So let's break it down. Let's look at the first law of human nature, the law of irrationality. The problem isn't that we have emotions. Emotions are good. Emotions make life worth living. Love, excitement, passion. We need those. The problem is that we think our emotions are facts. When you felt that anger writing the email, you didn't say, I am experiencing a temporary chemical surge of cortisol. No, you said, he is a jerk. He deserves this. You justified it. The human brain is a genius at one thing, making up excuses for what the gut wants to do. We don't make decisions based on logic. We make decisions based on how we feel, and then we use logic to defend those feelings later. It happens in the boardroom every day. A CEO wants to buy another company. He says it's for synergy. He shows the charts, he shows the projections, but deep down, he just wants to be the biggest shark in the tank. He is bored, he wants an adventure, he is envious of his competitor, but he can't say that. So he spends millions of dollars on a bad deal, destroys value, fires thousands of people, all because his inner child wanted a new toy. Have you seen this? Have you seen a leader make a catastrophic decision that seemed obvious to everyone else? Of course you have. But the harder question is, have you done it? Maybe not with millions of dollars, but with your time, with your trust. Let's travel back in time. Let's go to ancient Athens. There was a man named Pericles. He is our hero for this chapter. Pericles was a general, a statesman, a rock star of the ancient world. Athens was under attack. The Spartans, the toughest warriors on earth, were marching toward the city. The people of Athens were panicking. They were screaming. They wanted to go out and fight. They wanted blood. Their blood was boiling. Imagine the pressure. Thousands of people yelling at you to do something, fight, be a man. If Pericles had listened to his emotions, if he had let his fear or his pride take the wheel, Athens would have been crushed. The Spartans would have slaughtered them in an open field. But Pericles did something almost superhuman. He did nothing. He told everyone to come inside the city walls. He locked the gates. He said, "Let them burn our farms. Let them insult us. We wait." He stood on his balcony, watching the smoke rise from his own lands, being burned by the enemy. Can you imagine the self-control that takes? To watch your own property burn and not react? His people hated him for it. They called him a coward. But he knew something they didn't. He knew that the Spartans had no patience. He knew they would run out of food. He knew that if he fought them on land, he loses. If he waits, he wins. And he was right. The Spartans got tired. They left. Athens won, not by fighting, but by thinking. Pericles cultivated what Greene calls the inner Athena. Athena was the goddess of wisdom, of strategy. She was the calm voice in the storm. We all have that voice, but it is usually drowned out by the noise of our insecurities. So how do we find that voice? How do we stop being the person who sends the angry email? You have to increase your reaction time. In the modern world, everything is designed to make you react now. The notification dings, you look. The text comes in, you reply. The headline flashes, you click. We are trained monkeys. Stimulus, response. Stimulus, response. To become a strategist, to become powerful, you must break that chain. Next time you feel that surge of emotion, whether it is anger at a coworker or sudden excitement to buy a crypto coin that is going to the moon, you must stop. You must step back. You must imagine you are a stranger looking at yourself. Ask yourself, why am I really feeling this? Are you angry at your boss because he was rude? Or are you angry because he reminds you of your father who never praised you? Are you in love with this new person? Or are you just lonely and flattered that someone is paying attention to you? This is called rationality. Rationality is not about being a robot without feelings. It is about balancing the two horses. It is about knowing that just because you feel something doesn't mean it is true. But wait, it gets deeper. The prison has another level, a darker level. If the first bar of the prison cell is irrationality, the second bar, the one that is hardest to see, is narcissism. We hate that word, narcissist. We use it to insult people. Oh, my ex is such a narcissist. My boss is a narcissist. We point fingers. But here is the brutal truth Robert Greene wants you to swallow. We are all narcissists. Every single one of us. When you walk into a room, what is your first thought? Are you thinking about the ventilation system? Are you thinking about the carpet? No. You are thinking, do I look okay? What do these people think of me? Does she like me? Why is he looking at me like that? We are the center of our own universe. It is a survival mechanism. If you didn't care about yourself, you wouldn't eat. You wouldn't look both ways before crossing the street. A little narcissism is healthy. It keeps you alive. But there is a spectrum. On the deep end, you have the deep narcissists. These are the dangerous ones. These are the people who have no self inside. They are empty buckets with holes in the bottom. No matter how much attention you pour in, it is never enough. They need you to reflect them back constantly. If you stop clapping, they die. They view other people not as humans, but as objects, tools. What can you do for me? You have met them. They are charming at first. Oh, they are so charming. They love bomb you. They make you feel like the most special person in the world. Why? Because they are using you to prop up their own ego. But the moment you criticize them, the moment you challenge them, the mask falls. They turn into monsters. They rage. They play the victim. How could you do this to me after everything I did for you? Understanding this law is crucial for two reasons. One, you need to spot these people and run. Run fast. Do not try to fix them. You cannot fix a deep narcissist. They will drain you until you are a husk. and then they will throw you away and find a new source of supply. 2. You need to manage the narcissist in yourself. Yes, you. Think about the last time you felt misunderstood. You were telling a story and someone interrupted you. You felt annoyed, right? Why? Because they took the spotlight off you. Think about when you help someone. Do you do it purely to help? Or is there a little part of you that wants them to thank you, that wants to feel like a good person? This self-absorption is a trap. It makes us socially awkward. It makes us misread situations. We think people are doing things to us when really they are just doing things for themselves. Example, your colleague doesn't say hello to you in the morning. Your narcissistic brain says, he is mad at me. What did I do? Or maybe he is arrogant. What a jerk. The reality, his kid is sick, he didn't sleep, and he literally didn't see you. But because you are stuck in your own movie, starring you, you interpret his silence as a plot point in your story. You create drama where there is none. You create conflict out of thin air. So how do we break this bar of the prison? Empathy. But not fake empathy. Not just nodding your head and saying, I hear you. I mean visceral empathy. You have to realize that every person you meet is living a life just as complex, just as painful, and just as vivid as yours. They are the hero of their own movie. In their movie, you are just a background character. When you stop focusing on what do they think of me and start asking, what are they feeling right now? What are they afraid of? Something magical happens. You stop being awkward. You become magnetic. People are starving for attention. They are starving to be understood. If you can be the person who actually listens, who actually steps out of your own ego and enters their world, you will have immense power. People will love you. They won't know why, but they will feel safe with you. This is the key to influence. Influence isn't about shouting the loudest. It's about understanding the deep emotional needs of the person in front of you and feeding them. But here is the catch. It is not easy. It is painful to kill your own ego. It hurts to admit that you are not the most important person in the room. It takes effort to suppress that voice that wants to talk about yourself. And even if you master your emotions, even if you manage to tame the wild horse of anger and the hungry ghost of narcissism, you are still not safe. Because once you step out of the internal prison, you step into the world of other people. And people are actors. They don't show you who they really are. They show you who they want you to see. They wear masks. Thick, colorful, convincing masks. We all do. We play the role of the good employee, the devoted partner, the rebel. But what is underneath? How do you look at a smiling face and see the predator lurking behind the eyes? How do you look at someone who seems confident and see the terrified child controlling their actions? To survive in this jungle, you need to become a master of decoding. You need to learn a new language, not a language of words. Words are lies. Words are easy to fake. You can say, I love you, while planning a betrayal. You can say, I am honest, while stealing from the register. No, you need to learn the language of the body, the language of the micro-expression, the language of the behavior that repeats over and over again, like a broken record, revealing the true character hidden deep within the wiring of the brain. It is there, always. You just have to know where to look. Welcome to the masquerade. The second law of human nature is the law of role-playing, and it starts with the terrifying realization. Almost nothing people say to you is the full truth. That sounds paranoid, doesn't it? It sounds like something a conspiracy theorist would say. But think about your own life. When you are bored at a dinner party, do you say, I am incredibly bored. Please stop talking? No. You smile. You nod. You say, wow, that is fascinating. When you are jealous of your friend's promotion, do you say, I hate that you got that job because it makes me feel like a failure? No. You say, congratulations, you deserve it. We are professional liars. We have to be. If we told the truth all the time, society would collapse in about 20 minutes. We wear masks to be polite, to fit in, to protect ourselves. But here is the problem. Some people don't just wear masks to be polite. They wear masks to hide a rot, to hide a lack of empathy, to hide a deep, dark ambition that involves crushing you. And because we are lazy, because we want to believe people are nice, we take them at their word. We fall for the halo effect. If someone is handsome or dresses well or has a smooth voice, we automatically assume they are smart, kind, and honest. We let them in, we hire them, we marry them, and then 6 months later, we wake up in a nightmare. Robert Greene says, stop listening to the words. The words are the mask. Watch the feet. Yes, the feet. When you are talking to someone, they can control their face, they can fake a smile, but they often forget to control their feet. If their feet are pointed toward the door while they are smiling at you, they want to leave. They are lying. This is called leakage. The truth leaks out of the cracks in the mask. It's in the tone of voice. Is it a little too high? A little too strained? It's in the micro expressions. That flash of contempt that lasts for 0.1 seconds before the smile returns. You must become a detective of human behavior. You are looking for the shadow. Let's look at a classic case study, the saint. You know this person. They are always doing good deeds. They are always talking about how much they help others. They are humble bragging on social media about their charity work. They seem perfect, but bring a problem to them. Disagree with them on a minor point. Watch what happens. Suddenly, the saint becomes cold. They become passive aggressive. They make you feel guilty. After all I did for you, you treat me like this? The mask slips. The goodness wasn't about helping you. It was about power. It was about moral superiority. If you had watched their behavior closely, not their words, but their patterns, you would have seen it coming. You would have noticed that they only help when there is an audience. You would have noticed that they keep a scorecard of every favor. This leads us directly into the dark heart of the third law, the law of compulsive behavior. This is perhaps the most depressing law, but also the most liberating if you grasp it. Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, said it best 2,500 years ago. Character is fate. What does that mean? It means your life is not determined by luck. It is not determined by what school you went to. It is determined by your character. And your character is a set of deep-seated patterns that were formed when you were a child. Have you ever had a friend who always dates the bad boy or the crazy girl? They date one. It ends in disaster. They cry. They say, never again. 2 months later, they introduce you to their new partner. And guess what? It's the exact same person, just with a different name and a different haircut. Why? Because they are compelled to repeat the past. Maybe they had a chaotic childhood. Maybe they equate love with drama. So, if they meet a nice, stable person, they feel bored. There is no spark. They need the chaos to feel alive. They are trapped in a loop. We all have these loops. We have a set point for money. Some people make millions and lose it all, over and over again, because they are uncomfortable with stability. We have a set point for authority. Some people always fight with their boss, no matter who the boss is, because they are actually still fighting with their controlling father. You must stop looking at people's intentions. Intentions are weak. Intentions change with the wind. Look at their patterns. If someone betrayed their last business partner, they will betray you. I don't care how much they say they've changed. I don't care if they found God. Unless they have done years of heavy psychological work, they will repeat the pattern. It is a mathematical certainty. So, how do you use this? First, for yourself. You need to do an autopsy on your own life. Look at your failures. Don't blame your ex. Don't blame the economy. Look for the common denominator. The common denominator is you. What is the pattern? Do you always quit when things get hard? Do you always avoid conflict until it blows up? Do you always trust the wrong people? Identify the loop. That is the only way to break it. Second, use it to hire and fire. Use it to choose your friends. When you are interviewing someone or dating someone, don't ask them, are you honest? Of course they will say yes. Ask them about their past. Tell me about your last boss. If they say, oh, he was a nightmare, and the boss before that, a tyrant, and the one before that, an idiot, run. The problem isn't the bosses. The problem is the person sitting in front of you. They have a problem with authority. And in 3 months, you will be the nightmare boss in their story. This is strategic pessimism. It protects you. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about the mask we wear, not for others, but for ourselves. We not only lie to our neighbors, we lie to the mirror. We curate our own identity. We tell ourselves a story about who we are. I am a rational skeptic. I am a spiritual seeker. I am a victim of circumstances. This story is our armor, but it is also our cage. There is a force inside you that hates this cage. There is a part of you that is wild, aggressive, sexual, ambitious, and maybe a little bit cruel. Society told you to lock this part away. Your parents told you it was bad. Your teachers told you to sit still and be nice. So you shoved it down. You pushed it into the basement of your mind. Carl Jung called this the shadow. And this brings us to the next law, the law of repression. You think your shadow is gone? You think because you are a nice guy or a good girl that you don't have a dark side? Wrong. The shadow is there. And because you ignore it, it is angry. It is plotting against you. Have you ever seen a nice person suddenly snap? Maybe they get drunk and start a fist fight. Maybe they have a midlife crisis and blow up their family. That is the shadow breaking out of the basement. Or maybe it comes out in sneakier ways. Passive aggression, sarcasm, gossiping. That little thrill you feel when someone successful fails, that is your shadow leaking out. Robert Greene challenges you to do something dangerous. He wants you to open the basement door. He doesn't mean you should go out and commit crimes. He means you must integrate your shadow. The energy you spend repressing your dark side is wasted energy. Imagine if you took that aggression and turned it into ambition. Imagine if you took that stubbornness and turned it into persistence. Great artists, great leaders, great athletes, they all have a strong shadow. They channel their anger into their work. They use their arrogance to attempt the impossible. They are not nice. They are whole. A nice person is weak because they are cutting off half of their power source. A whole person is formidable. You need to make friends with the monster inside you. You need to say, I see you. I know you are greedy. I know you want power. Let's use that fuel to build a business empire instead of just being jealous of our neighbor. This is true alchemy, turning the lead of your dark impulses into the gold of achievement. But as you start to do this work, as you start to peel off your own mask and integrate your shadow, you will face a new enemy, an enemy that is not inside you, but all around you. The herd. We like to think we are independent thinkers. We like to think we are cowboys, riding solo. But biologically, we are sheep. We are programmed to fit in. We are terrified of being left out. This is the law of conformity. And in the age of social media, this law has become a nuclear weapon. We are constantly checking. What is the consensus? What are people saying? Is it safe to say this? We lose our minds in the group. Go to a rock concert. Go to a political rally. Look at the faces. They are in a trance. They are not individuals anymore. They are a single organism. If the group feels joy, you feel joy. If the group feels rage, you feel rage. You might do things in a crowd that you would never do alone. You might throw a rock. You might scream an insult. You might buy a stock just because everyone else is buying it. This groupthink is the death of strategy. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be successful, you must learn to resist the pull of the tribe. You must be able to stand alone in a room full of people who disagree with you and not feel panic. This is hard. Your brain will scream at you. Danger, danger. They will kick us out. We will die alone in the wilderness. But you must override that ancient software. You need to cultivate detachment. Imagine you are at a party. Everyone is drinking. Everyone is gossiping. The energy is high. Instead of just diving in, imagine you float up to the ceiling. Look down at the party. Look at the dynamics. Who is trying to impress whom? Who is the leader of the group? Who is the outsider? Observe the group as if you are a scientist studying a colony of ants. When you do this, you stop being a puppet. You can still participate. You can still dance and laugh, but you are awake. You are not drunk on the group emotion. And when the group inevitably turns toward a cliff, when the market bubble is about to burst, when the political movement turns violent, when the corporate culture becomes toxic, you will be the only one who sees it coming. You will be the only one who can step off the train before it crashes. But there is a specific type of group dynamic that is even more dangerous than the crowd. It is the dynamic of envy. Envy is the silent killer. It is the emotion that no one admits to. You will hear people confess to anger, to lust, to laziness. But have you ever heard a friend say, "I am envious of you"? Never. Because to admit envy is to admit inferiority. It is too painful. So we hide it. We repress it. And it turns into something ugly. It turns into sabotage. You get a promotion. Your friend says, "That's great, but are you sure you can handle the stress? You look tired already." That is a drop of poison. That is envy wearing the mask of concern. You need to develop a radar for this. Robert Greene warns us. Watch out for the people who are too eager to be your friend too quickly. Watch out for the people who praise you too much. They are often the ones who will envy you the most when you succeed. Why? Because they are measuring themselves against you. And if you rise, they feel like they are falling. But wait, don't just look outward. Look inward. Who do you envy? Whose Instagram feed makes your stomach tight? Whose success makes you feel small? That envy is a map. It is showing you exactly what you want. Don't suppress it. Don't hate yourself for it. Use it. If you envy a writer, it means you want to write. If you envy an entrepreneur, it means you want to build. Your envy is your shadow screaming at you. That should be us. So listen to it. Turn that passive, bitter energy into active, aggressive work. Stop watching them and start outworking them. We are peeling back the layers of the onion now. We have looked at our irrationality. We have looked at our narcissism. We have looked at our masks and our shadows. We have looked at the herd. But there is a deeper layer still, a layer that dictates not just how we act in the moment, but how we see time itself. Most of us are living in the now. We are obsessed with the immediate problem, the email in the inbox, the bill due tomorrow, the comment on our post. We are suffering from short-termism. We are like a captain on a ship who is so busy scrubbing the deck that he doesn't see the iceberg on the horizon. This brings us to the law of short-sightedness and the antidote, the far-sighted perspective. This is the superpower of the grand strategist, the ability to detach from the heat of the moment and look at the long game. Think of a chess master. A novice player thinks one move ahead. If I take this pawn, I get a point. A master thinks 10 moves ahead. He sacrifices the pawn, he sacrifices the knight. He looks like he is losing, but he is setting a trap that will snap shut in 20 moves. In life, you are constantly offered pawns, the get-rich-quick scheme, the cheap dopamine hit of an affair, the easy way out of a difficult project. These are traps. They look good in the now, but they are disasters in the future. To escape the prison of the present, you must train your mind to travel in time. Before you make a decision, fast forward. If I eat this junk food today, I feel good for 10 minutes. How do I feel in 2 hours? How do I look in 2 years? If I send this angry text, I feel relief for 1 minute. What is the relationship like in a week? This sounds simple, but it is incredibly hard. It requires you to fight your own biology. Your brain wants the reward now, but here is the secret. The secret is that the future is not a hazy mystery. The future is just the result of the actions you take today, compounded by time. If you eat a burger today, nothing happens. If you eat a burger every day for 10 years, you have a heart attack. The heart attack didn't happen suddenly. It was happening every single day, bite by bite. This is what Greene calls the elevated perspective. Imagine you are in a maze. You are running around, hitting dead ends, getting frustrated. You can only see the wall in front of your face. That is how most people live. That is tactical hell. Now, imagine you float up in a hot air balloon. Suddenly, the maze looks small. You can see the exit. You can see that the path you were running on was a circle. You must live in the balloon. Let me give you a brutal example of what happens when you stay on the ground. It is called the Cobra effect. Years ago, in India, under British rule, there were too many cobras in Delhi. The government was worried. So, the smart bureaucrats had a great idea. They said, let's pay people a bounty for every dead cobra they bring us. It seemed logical. Incentive equals action. And at first, it worked. People killed cobras. The population went down. But then the people started thinking. They thought, wait, if I kill all the cobras, the money stops. So what did they do? They started breeding cobras. They built cobra farms in their backyards just to kill them and collect the money. When the government found out, they were furious. They canceled the program. The farmer said, well, these snakes are useless now, and they released them all into the street. The result? The cobra population was 3 times higher than before the program started. This is the tragedy of short-term thinking. You try to fix a problem quickly, the cobra, but because you didn't look at the second-order consequences, human nature, greed, you made the problem worse. How many times have you done this? You yell at your child to make them stop crying, short-term fix. But now your child is afraid of you and hides their feelings, long-term disaster. You take a loan to pay off a debt, short-term fix, but now you are drowning in interest, long-term disaster. To be a strategist, you must stop reacting to the first order of things. You must ask, and then what? And then what? You must become a grandmaster of time. But there is another wall we hit in the maze, a wall that is perhaps the hardest to climb because it is covered in spikes. The law of defensiveness. Have you ever tried to give someone constructive criticism? You sat them down. You were nice. You said, hey, I think you could improve this report by doing X. And what happened? Did they say, thank you, wise friend, I will change immediately? No. Their eyes glazed over, their arms crossed. They started making excuses. Well, I didn't have enough time. And actually, it was John's fault. Why? Because you attacked their self-opinion. This is a core concept in Greene's work. Every human being has a story they tell themselves about who they are. I am smart. I am independent. I am a good person. When you criticize them, you are not just criticizing a report, you are attacking that story. You are telling them you are not smart, you are not good, and the human animal will fight to the death to protect that story. This is why arguments never work. Think about the last political argument you had. Did you change the other person's mind? Did they change yours? No. You both just got more entrenched in your own views. You both left thinking the other person was an idiot. So, if we can't argue and we can't criticize, how do we influence people? How do we get them to do what we want? You must use the Trojan horse method. Do not attack the wall. Open the gate from the inside. You must validate their self-opinion. This sounds manipulative. It is. But it is also the only way to reach people. If you have a stubborn boss who thinks he is a genius, do not tell him his idea is bad. He will fire you. Instead, say, that is a brilliant insight, boss. It connects perfectly with your vision for the company. And if we tweak this one little part, it will be even more you. Do you see what you did? You made the change his idea. You fed his self-opinion, I am a genius, while getting the result you wanted. You validated him. Validation is like air. People are suffocating for it. If you give it to them, they will lower their defenses. They will trust you. But you have to be careful. You can't just flatter them. False flattery is easy to spot. It has to be grounded in reality. You have to find the one thing they actually are good at and shine a spotlight on it. This requires you to stop judging people. When we judge, we are pushing people away. We are saying, I am up here, you are down there. When you judge, you are blind. You can't see the reality of who they are because you are too busy labeling them. He is lazy, she is crazy. Labels are for lazy thinkers. Instead of labeling, get curious. Why is he acting lazy? Is he unmotivated? Is he in the wrong role? Is he depressed? When you replace judgment with curiosity, you become a master of human nature. You stop taking things personally. You start seeing people as puzzles to be solved. And the most complex puzzle of all is the one involving the people closest to you, the people you think you know, but do you? This brings us to the law of sabotage. We often think our enemies are far away, competitors, strangers. But the most dangerous people are often the ones inside the house, the ones who smile to your face but cut you when you turn your back. Greene calls them the saboteurs. They are driven by a particularly nasty mix of envy and passive aggression. How do you spot them? They are the ones who are late to your important meeting, but it wasn't their fault. They are the ones who forgot to send the email. They are the ones who make jokes that sting just a little too much. And when you get mad, they say, "I was just kidding. You're too sensitive." This is not an accident. This is warfare. Passive aggression is the weapon of the powerless. People who are afraid of direct conflict use it to level the playing field. They want to make you lose your cool. If you get angry at a passive-aggressive person, you lose. You look like the bully. You look like the crazy one. They sit back and look innocent. "I just forgot the email. Why are you shouting?" So how do you handle them? You do not react. You do not show emotion. You use mirroring. If they are late, you don't yell. You just start the meeting without them. When they arrive, you smile and say, "So glad you made it," and keep going. You don't give them the satisfaction of disrupting the flow. If they make a stinging joke, you don't get mad. You look them in the eye, pause for 3 seconds, and say nothing. Let the silence hang in the air. Let them feel the awkwardness of their own comment. You are stripping them of their power. You are showing them that their little games don't work on you. This requires immense self-control. It requires you to be the adult in the room when everyone else is acting like a child. And speaking of children, we need to talk about the law of compulsion again, but from a different angle, the family drama. You think you are a free agent. You think you left your parents' house and became your own person. But if we put you in an MRI machine, or better yet, if we watched you at Thanksgiving dinner, we would see the truth. You are still playing a role in the family script. Maybe you were the responsible one. So now, in your company, you take on everyone else's work. You burn out because you think you have to save everyone. Maybe you were the rebel. So now, you break rules just for the sake of breaking them. Even when the rules are good for you, you are haunting yourself. To break free, you must perform an exorcism, not with holy water, but with consciousness. You must look at your behavior and ask, is this me, or is this my mother? Is this me, or is this my father? It is terrifying how much of our personality is just a copy-paste of our parents' fears and desires. But once you see it, I really see it, you can choose to delete the file. You can choose to write a new script. This is the process of self-creation. It is the ultimate goal of understanding human nature. To stop being a biological machine, reacting to buttons pushed by your parents, your friends, and society, and to become an artist of your own life. But you cannot create a masterpiece if you are constantly distracted, if you are constantly pulled into other people's drama. You need to build a fortress, not to keep people out, but to keep your sanity in. You need to cultivate what Greene calls the citadel of the mind. In a world that is screaming for your attention, social media, news, gossip, your attention is your most valuable resource. It is more valuable than gold, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. If you spend your attention on your coworker's divorce, you are paying them with your life force. If you spend your attention on a Twitter argument, you are throwing your mental capital into a fire. Stop it. Be stingy with your attention. Treat your mind like a VIP club. Not everyone gets in. Not every thought gets a drink. When you start to protect your mental space, you will notice something strange. You will have more energy. You will have more clarity. You will start to see opportunities that were invisible before. You will start to see the gap between what people say and what they do, the gap between the market's emotion and the market's reality. This gap is where the money is. This gap is where the power is. But to stand in that gap, you have to be willing to be different. You have to be willing to be weird. And this leads us to the most dangerous, the most controversial, and perhaps the most powerful law of all, the law of aggression. We are taught that aggression is bad. We are taught to be nice, to be cooperative. But look at nature. Look at a lion. Look at a tree fighting for sunlight. Life is aggression. Life is expansion. If you repress your natural drive to expand, to conquer, to achieve, it turns inward. It becomes depression. It becomes anxiety. You must reclaim your aggression. but not in a violent way, not in a crude way. You must channel it into ambitious energy. You must attack your work. You must attack your goals. You must have a killer instinct. When you are working on a project, do not just do your best. Try to crush it. Try to make it so good that it destroys the competition. This is not about being mean. It is about being vital. People are drawn to vitality. They follow the person who has fire in their belly. If you are passive, if you are waiting for permission, you will wait forever. No one is going to give you permission to be great. You have to take it. You have to steal the fire. And once you have the fire, you have to know how to control it. Because fire can cook your food or it can burn down your house. The control mechanism, the regulator for this energy, is your connection to reality. Most people are delusional. They think they are better than they are. They think the world owes them something. The realist knows the world owes him nothing. The realist looks at the chessboard and sees the pieces as they are, not as he wishes them to be. He sees that his pawn is weak. He sees that his queen is exposed. And he makes the move that is necessary, not the move that feels good. This radical realism is painful. It hurts to admit you are not as good as you thought. It hurts to admit your product isn't selling because it's bad, not because the market is stupid. But that pain is growing pain. Embrace it. Love the pain of truth, because the truth is the only solid ground you can build on. Everything else is sand. And as you stand on that solid ground, as you look around with your clear eyes, you will start to see the strings that pull the puppets, the strings of fear, the strings of greed, the strings of validation. And for the first time in your life, you will realize you are holding the scissors. You are holding the scissors. You have identified the strings of the past, the patterns of your parents, the loops of your compulsions. Snip, snip, snip. You are cutting yourself loose. And for the first time in your life, you feel light. You feel powerful. You start to win. You get the promotion. You launch the business. The money starts hitting your bank account. The likes start rolling in on your feed. And precisely this moment of victory is where you are in the most danger. Welcome to the treacherous waters of part 3. We are about to crash into the 13th law of human nature, the law of grandiosity. This law is not about other people. It is about the monster that lives inside your own success. It is about the disease of the ego. Here is the mechanism. When you fail, you are realistic. You analyze what went wrong. You listen to feedback. You are humble because the pain forces you to be humble. But when you succeed, your brain plays a trick on you. A deadly trick. Your brain deletes the role of luck. It deletes the role of timing. It deletes the help you got from your team. And it replaces all of that with a simple, seductive story. I succeeded because I am a genius. I have the Midas touch. I am special. This is the birth of grandiosity. It starts small. You stop listening to your advisors. What do they know? You think, I'm the one who built this. You stop looking at the boring details. Details are for the little people. I am a big picture thinker. You start to believe that the rules of gravity, financial gravity, social gravity don't apply to you, and you begin to hallucinate. You hallucinate a reality where you are the God King. Let's look at a modern tragedy. Think of the founder of WeWork, Adam Neumann, or Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos. These weren't stupid people. They were brilliant, charismatic, and driven, but they drank their own Kool-Aid. They became drunk on their own grandiosity. They started to believe they could change the laws of physics and economics just by wishing it. They surrounded themselves with yes men, people who reflected their own greatness back to them like a hall of mirrors. Anyone who said, wait, this doesn't make sense, was fired. Anyone who brought up reality was labeled a hater. And what happened? The crash. The higher you fly on the wings of grandiosity, the harder you hit the ground. And the ground always wins. Reality always wins. So, how do you inoculate yourself against this virus? How do you stay sane when everyone is telling you how great you are? You must practice realistic confidence. There is a massive difference between confidence and grandiosity. Confidence says, I can solve this problem because I have done the work. I have studied the risks. I know my weaknesses. and I have a plan to cover them. Grandiosity says, I can solve this problem because I am me. One is based on evidence, the other is based on fantasy. To be a grand strategist, you need a reality anchor. You need a person in your life, a partner, a mentor, an old friend who is completely unimpressed by your status. You need someone who loves you enough to tell you, hey, you are acting like an idiot. Hey, that idea is terrible. Do you have that person? Or have you pushed them away because they made you feel negative? If you have pushed them away, call them back. Beg them to come back. They are your lifeline. But grandiosity is not the only distortion lens we wear. There's another one, deeper and more ancient. It distorts how we see our own potential. This brings us to the 12th law, the law of gender rigidity. This is a sensitive topic. People get uncomfortable. But we are here to dissect human nature, not to be politically correct. Robert Greene argues that we are all, by nature, hybrids. Biologically, we are a mix of masculine and feminine genes. Psychologically, we have the capacity for both hard, aggressive action, masculine, and soft, intuitive empathy, feminine. But society? Society hates ambiguity. From the moment you were born, society tried to shove you into a box. If you were a boy, be tough, don't cry, don't be sensitive, kill the emotion. If you were a girl, be nice, be accommodating, don't be aggressive, smile. So, what did you do? To survive, to be loved, to fit in? You took a knife and you cut off half of your soul. You repressed your shadow gender. If you are a man, you repressed your anima, your intuitive, sensitive side. You became hyper-masculine, rigid, logical to a fault. You think this makes you strong? No. It makes you brittle. A tree that cannot bend in the wind will break. A man who cannot use intuition, who cannot read the emotional room, is a blind man walking into a wall. He conquers a kingdom but loses his family. He wins the argument but loses the deal. If you are a woman, you repressed your animus, your assertive, adventurous side. You became the good girl. You learned to get what you want by manipulation instead of direct request. You swallowed your anger until it turned into anxiety. You think this makes you feminine? No, it makes you powerless. The strategist rejects this false choice. The strategist aims for the androgynous mind. Look at the greatest leaders in history. Look at Queen Elizabeth I. She famously said, I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king. She could flirt with diplomats like a woman and execute traitors like a king. She used the whole keyboard, not just half the keys. Look at Leonardo da Vinci. Was he a tough guy? No. He was flamboyant, sensitive, artistic, but he was also an obsessive scientist, an engineer, a man of relentless logic. He combined the masculine drive to pierce the truth with the feminine capacity to embrace the mystery. That is power. Power is fluidity. If you are a man, I challenge you. Can you listen? Can you stop trying to fix the problem for 5 minutes and just feel what the other person is feeling? Can you use your intuition? That gut feeling is not magic. It is your brain processing information faster than your logic can keep up. Trust it. If you are a woman, I challenge you. Can you attack? Can you state your price and not apologize? Can you enter a room and take up space? Can you use your anger as fuel? When you reintegrate this lost part of yourself, you become whole. And a whole person is terrifying to your enemies. They cannot predict you, they expect you to be hard, and you are soft. They expect you to be nice, and you are ruthless. You are playing 3D chess while they are playing checkers. But even if you are whole, even if you are humble, you still face the greatest existential threat of all. The drift, the law of aimlessness. Look around you. Go to a busy street and watch the faces. What do you see? You see people who are sleepwalking. They are moving, yes. They are busy, yes. But they are not going anywhere. They are reacting. They took the job because their parents said it was safe. They married the person because it was time. They bought the house because that's what adults do. They are living someone else's life. They are following a false path. And because they are on a false path, They are miserable, they are bored, they are anxious, they are constantly looking for distractions, Netflix, alcohol, gossip, anything to numb the feeling that they are wasting their time on this planet. Robert Greene says, "You possess a kind of inner guidance system that is unique to you. When you were a child, before the world told you who to be, you had an obsession. You had a primal inclination. Maybe you loved words. You wrote little stories in your notebook. Maybe you loved patterns. You organized your toys in complex rows. Maybe you loved power. You led the other kids in games. Maybe you loved movement. You couldn't sit still. That obsession, that is your DNA speaking. That is your life's task. And the tragedy of adulthood is that we bury it. We trade our unique destiny for a generic safety. But the voice never goes away. It just gets quieter. It becomes that little whisper at 3 a.m. that says, "Is this it? Is this all there is?" You must answer that voice. You must stop the drift. You must declare war on aimlessness. How? By understanding the structure of mastery. We live in a culture of hacks. We want the 3 tips to get rich. We want the 5-minute abs. We want the shortcut. But the law of aimlessness tells us there are no shortcuts. There is only the path. And the path has a specific architecture. First, you must go through the apprenticeship. This is the period of humility. You are the student. You know nothing. You must observe. You must copy. You must suffer the boredom of repetition. Most people quit here. They say, "I'm not getting paid enough. This is boring. I'm smarter than my boss." So they jump to a new job and they start the cycle again. They become eternal apprentices. They know a little bit about everything, but they are masters of nothing. You must stay. You must absorb the knowledge. You must steal the fire from the masters. Then you enter the creative, active phase. Now, you take what you learned and you break the rules. You add your own flavor. You start to experiment. You fail. You learn. You pivot. And finally, if you persist, if you survive the boredom and the failure, you reach mastery. This is where intuition takes over. You don't have to think about what to do. You just know. The violin is an extension of your arm. The code flows out of you like water. The business strategy appears in your mind like a vision. This is the only way to true freedom. Money without mastery is fragile. You can lose it. Status without mastery is hollow. People respect the chair you sit in, not you. But mastery is yours. No one can take it away from you. The market can crash, the world can change, but you will still be the master. You will simply adapt and conquer again. So, I ask you, where are you on this path? Are you drifting? Are you chasing money instead of skill? Stop. Turn around. Go back to the thing you loved before you learned to be practical. That is where your power lies. That is where your energy is infinite. When you are doing your life's task, you don't need motivation. You don't need to watch YouTube videos to get pumped up. The work itself is the fuel. You wake up excited. You go to bed exhausted but fulfilled. This is what it means to be a high-value human. And as you begin to walk this path of purpose, as you begin to vibrate with this new energy, you will notice something changing in the people around you. You are no longer begging them for attention. You are no longer trying to impress them with your mask. You are simply there, solid, focused, dangerous. And because you are solid, they start to orbit you. Humans are like planets. We are looking for a sun. We are looking for a center of gravity. Most people are asteroids floating aimlessly, looking for something to hold on to. But the person with a purpose, the person with mastery, they are a star. This leads us to the law of authority, but not the authority you think. We are taught that authority is about command and control. It is about shouting. It is about wearing a uniform. It is about the title on your business card. That is old power, and it is dying. In the world of the internet, in the world of flattened hierarchies, you cannot force people to respect you. You cannot force them to follow you. You must seduce them into following you. How? By cultivating presence. Have you ever met a true leader? Not a boss, a leader. They don't fidget. They don't talk fast. They don't try to fill the silence. They listen more than they speak. And when they do speak, every word lands like a physical object. They have mastered the art of silence. Insecure people are terrified of silence. They think silence means awkward. So they babble, they tell jokes, they over-explain. Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic was bad. And then my dog got sick. Stop it. The leader says, I am late. Let's begin. No excuse, no apology, just reality. This signals to the primal brain of everyone in the room. This person is not afraid of judgment. And if you are not afraid of judgment, you are the alpha. But there is a trap here too. As you gain authority, as you become the star, you become visible. And visibility in the jungle of human nature is a double-edged sword because the herd is watching. The herd loves to raise you up. They love a hero. They will cheer for you. They will buy your products. They will put you on a pedestal, but never, ever trust the herd because the herd has a dark, hidden desire. The herd gets bored. The herd gets envious. And the moment you slip, the moment you show weakness, or the moment you just become too big, the herd will turn. This is the law of fickleness. And if you are not prepared for it, if you have built your self-worth on their applause, they will tear you to pieces. So how do you survive the arena? How do you stand in the center of the Colosseum with the crowd screaming for your blood or your glory and remain unmoved? You need to understand the mechanics of the social battlefield. You need to understand how groups actually think, or rather, how they don't think. You are about to enter the zone of mass psychology, where logic goes to die and emotion rules the day. Are you ready to face the mob? You are standing in the center of the arena. The dust is swirling around your ankles. You can smell the sweat and the fear, but the scariest thing isn't the lion in the cage. It isn't the gladiator with the sword. The scariest thing is the crowd. Look at them. Thousands of thumbs pointing down. Thousands of voices screaming as one. They don't know you. They don't know your story. But in this moment, they hate you. Why? Because the person next to them hates you. Welcome to the law of conformity. This is the invisible force field that governs 99% of your life. You think you are an individual? Let's test that. Look at the clothes you are wearing right now. Did you invent that style? Or did you buy it because it was in fashion? Look at your opinions on politics. Are they truly yours, derived from hours of reading history books? Or are they just a copy-paste of the opinions held by your social circle? We are biological machines designed to fit in. For a million years, fitting in meant survival. If the tribe kicked you out, you didn't just get lonely, you got eaten by a leopard. So, your brain has a deep, primal alarm system that goes off the moment you deviate from the norm. This is why public speaking is the #1 fear in the world. It's not about speaking. It's about standing alone while everyone else sits. It is the fear of the tribe's judgment. But here is the strategic nightmare. The tribe is stupid. Individually, humans are smart. We can do calculus. We can write poetry. But when we get into a group, our IQ drops by 50 points. The group operates on emotion, not logic. The group wants safety, not truth. The group wants a scapegoat. Have you ever been in a toxic workplace? That is a tribe gone mad. Maybe there is a shared enemy, usually the boss or a rival department. Everyone bonds over complaining. If you refuse to complain, if you say, actually, the boss has a point, what happens? The room goes silent. They look at you. You are no longer one of us. You are a traitor. Robert Greene warns you, never underestimate the power of the leveling mechanism. Groups hate excellence. They say they love it. Companies put posters on the wall that say innovation and excellence. But try being excellent. Try being the person who works harder than everyone else. Try being the one with the radical new idea. You make them look bad. You make them feel lazy. So they will try to level you. They will use sarcasm. Oh, look at Mr. Perfect. They will sabotage your work. They will gossip. They want to pull you back down into the mud with them. So how does the strategist survive the tribe without being eaten? You must become a courtier. Think of the royal court of Versailles in the 17th century. It was a snake pit. One wrong word, one wrong look, and you were exiled. The people who survived were the actors. They wore the mask of conformity. On the outside, they smiled. They dressed like everyone else. They laughed at the king's bad jokes. They played the game. But on the inside, they were cold, calculating observers. You must do the same. Do not walk into your office and scream, "You are all sheep. I am a wolf." That is suicide. Instead, blend in. Camouflage. Wear the uniform. Speak the jargon. Make them feel safe. And while they are lulled to sleep by your conformity, you are working on your plan. You are building your alliances. You are outworking them in the shadows. This is tactical conformity. You conform in the little things, clothing, small talk, so that you can be radical in the big things, strategy, vision. But the tribe isn't the only giant wave you have to surf. There is a bigger wave, a wave that moves slowly, but crushes everything in its path. The zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. This brings us to the law of generational myopia. We are all trapped in the time we were born. If you were born in 1950, you view the world through the lens of post-war stability and Cold War fear. If you were born in 2000, you view the world through the lens of the internet, fluidity, and climate anxiety. These two generations are not just different, they are living in different realities, and they hate each other. The old look at the young and say, they are soft, they are entitled, they don't know how to work. The young look at the old and say, they are rigid, they are out of touch, they destroyed the planet. This conflict is eternal. It has happened in every century since the beginning of time. But the strategist does not take sides. The strategist exploits the conflict. If you want to sell something, if you want to lead, you must understand the zeitgeist. You must feel the pulse of the generation that is rising. What do they fear? What do they worship? Right now, the zeitgeist is shifting away from institutions and toward authenticity. People don't trust banks, governments, or big corporations anymore. They trust individuals. They trust raw, unfiltered voices. If you are acting like a corporate suit in the age of authenticity, you are a dinosaur. You are extinct. You just don't know it yet. But be careful. Do not try to be young if you are not. There is nothing more pathetic than a 50-year-old trying to use Gen Z slang to sell insurance. Instead, be a bridge. Use the wisdom of the past, strategy, discipline, history, and package it in the language of the future. Digital, fast, transparent. This requires you to have historical vision. Most people only see now. They think the way things are today is how they will always be. They are wrong. History moves in cycles. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Where are we now? Look around. We are in the weak men creating hard times phase. The institutions are crumbling. The anger is rising. This sounds scary, but for you, it is an opportunity. Chaos is a ladder. When the old order falls, the throne is empty. Who will sit on it? The person who understands the change before it happens. But to sit on that throne, you must master the darkest, most aggressive energy in the human soul. We talked about aggression before, but we didn't go deep enough. We need to talk about the law of aggression in its purest form. You are a predator. I know. You are a nice person. You are a vegan. You meditate, but strip away the civilization, and you are a primate with canine teeth. You have a drive to conquer. You have a drive to own. You have a drive to dominate. Society tells you this is toxic. Society tries to drug this out of you. But Robert Greene says, if you repress your aggression, it doesn't disappear. It turns into something sick. It turns into passive aggression. It turns into depression, which is just aggression turned against yourself. The goal is not to kill the beast. The goal is to ride it. You need channelized aggression. Look at an athlete like Michael Jordan. Was he nice on the court? No. He was a killer. He wanted to destroy his opponents. He humiliated them. But he channeled that rage into the game. He didn't punch people in the street. He dunked on them. That is the model. You must find a battlefield for your aggression. Maybe it is your business. Attack the market share of your competitor. Maybe it is a cause. Attack poverty. Attack ignorance. Maybe it is your own limitations. Attack your laziness. Attack your fear. When you have a target, Your aggression becomes ambitious energy. It becomes clean. It becomes focused. People are drawn to it. They sense the power in you. They want to be near the fire. But there is a catch. The jungle always has a catch. As you rise, as you use your aggression, as you navigate the tribe, you will face resistance. People will try to block you. And the most common way they block you is through static. They will waste your time. They will drag you into pointless meetings. They will fill your inbox with nonsense. They will try to entangle you in their emotional dramas. You must use the law of avoidance. You must be like water. Do not fight every battle. Most battles are distractions. If someone tries to pick a fight with you on social media, ignore them. They are trying to steal your energy. If a coworker tries to drag you into gossip, walk away. If a client is toxic and drains your resources, fire them. Your energy is finite. Every ounce of energy you spend on static is an ounce of energy you cannot spend on your great work. You must be ruthless with your time. You must be a snob about who you allow into your mind. This is the inner citadel. Imagine your mind is a fortress on a high mountain. The windows are thick glass. The air is filtered. Down below in the valley, there is mud. There is noise. There is the herd, screaming and fighting. You can look down at them. You can understand them. But you do not let the mud inside your fortress. Inside, you are calm. Inside, you are planning. Inside, you are cultivating the one thing that the herd can never have: autonomy. The ability to think for yourself, the ability to act for yourself. But wait, we are almost there. We have climbed the mountain. We have built the citadel. We have mastered the tribe and the self. But there is one final gate, one final law. It is the law that hangs over everything we have discussed like a dark cloud. It is the reason we are ambitious. It is the reason we are envious. It is the reason we build statues and write books. We are terrified of the dark. We are terrified of the silence that comes at the end of the song. We spend our entire lives running away from it. We buy anti-aging cream. We obsess over safety. We create religions to promise us that it's not really the end. But the strategist knows that you cannot run from the shadow. You must turn around. You must stop running. You must open your arms and embrace the one thing that makes life real. Because if you don't, if you keep running, you are already dead. You are a zombie, shuffling through life, afraid to take a risk, afraid to say, I love you, afraid to quit the job you hate, all because you are trying to stay safe. Safe from what? The end is the same for the king and the pawn. So, how do we use this? How do we turn the ultimate fear into the ultimate weapon? How do we use the shadow of death to create a light so bright that it blinds the world? This is the final transformation. This is where the human becomes the Ubermensch. Are you brave enough to look at the skull? Yes. Look at the skull. It is grinning at you. And do you know why it is grinning? It is grinning because it knows the joke. It knows the punchline that you have been trying to ignore your entire life. The punchline is that you are on a deadline. This is the final law, the 18th law of human nature, the law of death denial. We live in a culture that has declared war on reality. We live in the land of someday. Someday I will write that book. Someday I will fix my relationship with my father. Someday I will quit this job and travel. We speak about someday as if it is a guaranteed date on the calendar. We act as if we have an infinite supply of tomorrows stored in a vault somewhere. This is the greatest hallucination of the human mind. It is a biological trick designed to keep us from going insane with terror. But it has a terrible side effect. It makes us lazy. It makes us petty. It makes us weak. Think about the last time you got angry in traffic. Someone cut you off. You screamed. You hit the steering wheel. Your blood pressure spiked. You spent 20 minutes stewing in rage, replaying the incident in your head. Now, imagine if an angel or perhaps a doctor came down and whispered in your ear, you have exactly 24 hours left to live. Would you care about the traffic? Would you care about the rude comment on Instagram? Would you care that your boss didn't say good morning? No. Those things would vanish. They would become smoke. You would immediately focus on what matters. You would call the people you love. You would look at the sunset. You would taste your food as if it were the first meal you ever ate. You would say the things you have been too afraid to say. This is the power of the death sublime. The sublime is that feeling you get when you stand on the edge of the Grand Canyon, or when you see a massive thunderstorm rolling in. It is a mix of fear and awe. It makes you feel small, but it also makes you feel infinite. Robert Greene wants you to inject a dose of this sublime into your morning coffee every single day. He calls it the bullet in the chamber. Let's look at history. Let's look at the samurai in 17th century Japan. The samurai meditated on death every morning. They imagined being cut down by a sword. They imagined their hearts stopping. They imagined their bodies turning to ash. Why? Was it because they were depressed? Was it because they were nihilist? No, it was because they wanted to be fearless. If you have already accepted your death in the morning, then nothing that happens during the day can hurt you. Your boss yells at you? So what? I am already dead. You lose a client? So what? I am a ghost walking. This creates a paradox. By accepting death, you become the most alive person in the room. You become bold. You take risks that others are afraid to take. Because what is the worst that can happen? You die? You already accepted that. This is the ultimate strategic advantage. Your competitors are playing not to lose. They are playing it safe. They are hoarding their chips. You are playing to win. You are pushing all your chips into the center of the table because you know the game ends anyway. And when you live with this urgency, this desperate energy, people feel it. They feel a vibration coming off you. It is the vibration of truth. In a world of fakes, the person who is real about mortality is the king. But let's go deeper. Let's connect this to everything we have learned in this long journey. We started in the prison of emotion. We talked about the masks, the narcissism, the envy, the short-sightedness. All of those flaws, all of those sins come from one place. They come from the ego trying to protect itself. The ego thinks it is the center of the universe. The ego wants to live forever. The ego is terrified of disappearing. But when you shine the light of death on the ego shrinks. It realizes it is temporary. It realizes it is just a speck of dust. And when the ego shrinks, something else grows. The cosmic connection. I know. It sounds like hippie nonsense. But stay with me. This is physics. You are made of stardust. Literally. The carbon in your bones was forged in the heart of a dying star billions of years ago. You are a wave in the ocean of the universe. When you die, the wave crashes, but the water remains. When you truly feel this, when you feel that you are part of a chain of humanity that stretches back to the cavemen and forward to the starships, you stop being so obsessed with me. You start thinking about us. You start thinking about legacy. What are you leaving behind? Are you leaving behind a pile of receipts and a few angry ex-partners? Or are you leaving behind a work? This brings us back to the life's task, the higher purpose. The law of death forces you to get serious about your purpose. You don't have time to be a dilettante. You don't have time to be mediocre. You have a specific gift. You have a specific seed that was planted in you at birth. Death is the gardener that tells you, grow, now, before the winter comes. This perspective changes how you deal with obstacles. When you are on a mission, when you are building your legacy, the petty attacks of others don't stop you. They are just flies buzzing around the head of a lion. You swipe them away and keep walking. You develop the long view. You stop measuring your life in likes and start measuring it in impact. Did you help someone? Did you create something beautiful? Did you solve a hard problem? Did you tell the truth? These are the only metrics that count when you are lying on your deathbed. No one lies on their deathbed and says, I wish I had spent more time arguing on Twitter. They say, I wish I had been braver. So be brave. Be brave enough to take off the mask. Be brave enough to kill the narcissist inside you. Be brave enough to embrace your shadow. Be brave enough to stand apart from the herd. And be brave enough to look at the clock and see the hands moving. We have walked a long road together, you and I. We have dissected the human animal. We have opened the chest cavity and looked at the beating heart of our nature. It is messy. It is dark. It is chaotic. But it is also magnificent. But knowing is not enough. There is a massive gap between knowing the path and walking the path. Most people read a book like this, nod their heads, feel smart for a week, and then slide back into their old habits. They go back to sleep. The gravity of human nature is strong. It wants to pull you back down into the mud. To escape gravity, you need velocity. You need momentum. And you need a tribe. Not a herd, a tribe. A herd is a group of sheep huddled together out of fear. A tribe is a group of warriors moving together toward a goal. Throughout history, the great strategists, the great artists, the great leaders, they always had a circle. They had a mastermind. They shared ideas. They challenged each other. They held each other accountable. When one fell, the others picked him up. When one got lazy, the others pushed him. You cannot do this alone. The pressure to conform is too high. The world is too loud. This is why we are here. This is why I am speaking to you right now. This channel, this space we have created is not just for entertainment. We are not here to distract you from your life. We are here to arm you for it. Think of this as your digital dojo. Think of this as the place you come to sharpen your sword before you go back out into the battle of your daily life. Every video, every story, every analysis is a whetstone. But a dojo is empty without students who are committed to the practice. And a legacy is not built in a day. It is built in a lifetime of small, consistent actions. So here is the final thought, the final piece of the puzzle. We talked about the bullet in the chamber. We talked about urgency. The most urgent thing you can do is to decide who you are. Are you a passive consumer? Or are you an active creator of your own destiny? If you are the second one, if you are one of the few who actually wants to climb the mountain, then stay with us. Don't let this be the end of the conversation. Let it be the beginning. By joining this community, by subscribing to this frequency, you are making a statement. You are telling the algorithm of your own brain, I value wisdom, I value strategy, I value truth. You are planting a flag in the ground. And as we move forward, as we explore more books, more minds, more strategies, we will build something that outlasts us. We will build a library of high-value human beings. The choice is yours. The clock is ticking. The game is on. I'll see you on the next battlefield.